This is Neil Schneider for MTBS-TV at E3 Expo. To my immediate right is Alex Sarnoff, and to his immediate right is Matt Ruttenberg, co-founders of Control VR. Thank you both for joining us here on MTBS-TV.
Thanks for having us.
Well, this must be a very exciting show for you. I mean, you kind of took a risk that worked out. I mean, you're exhibiting at E3 while you had a Kickstarter running, and I gather your Kickstarter's been tremendously successful. Where are you at so far?
I think we're approaching 300,000, which we feel really good about, and we're excited at the growth. For us, coming to E3 was something we've been excited about because we know that we have such an outstanding product that we've been eager to let people try it out because it almost seems like it's unbelievable what this thing is capable of doing.
Well, before we actually talk about Control VR and the product, one of the things I find at least is when you have products like this, there's usually a wonderful story behind the product, and I'd love to hear how the two of you got connected to actually get this far. Maybe Matt, you could fill us in.
Yeah, I mean, me and Al have been working, we're Fraternity Brothers, so we go back 12 years now, and we've been working for the last 5 years, going around providing, different support to entrepreneurial startups, doing biz dev, and we had one of Al's really close contacts that we'd worked with in the past, connected us with Ollie. He had seen, he was actually purchased one of Ollie's systems, and he said, there might be something here, and I might know some guys that might really be able to help you out. And we came in and we looked at this, and we saw it was really promising, and we've been moving forward over the last year and a half, really helping shape the biz dev and the strategy of the whole project. So,
I'm curious, where were you for Fraternity Brothers?
At UCLA, and beta at UCLA. So,
okay, very nice, very nice. So, tell us about your inspiration for Control VR. I mean, when did you start thinking that this is something that had to happen? When did the light bulb go off, if you will?
Sure. The first time I had tried one of Ollie's high-end systems, right? So Ollie's been a leader in inertial motion capture for the past 2 decades and has really been driving that industry and creating the solutions for full-body motion capture. He was focused on a very high-end market segment and selling suits, for 100,000 plus to, Fortune 500 companies. So the technology was validated in the sense of his client base, and the first time that I actually had the experience of trying it, which he had a demo, was world-changing, and I immediately saw the potential for where I could take this technology, in the sense of, I grew up thinking about, how do we take small niche technologies and proliferate them such that they can be used, for major purposes that are going to improve the world.
Remind me, what was the time frame of this with Ollie's work and that you were inspired?
Well, Ollie's been, working on this for the last 2 decades. Me and Ollie connected a couple of years ago, and when I first saw the system, it was an immediate sort of connection, and I had an immediate connection with him, and it's just grown very rapidly since then, and we're really excited about where we're headed.
There's, I'd say within the last 2 years, obviously some big brand names in the VR space have been taking off. I mean, part of your demo, you're using Oculus Rift, Sony Morpheus, Technical Illusions, Virelli. There's all kinds of players in the market which have been popping up within the last 2 years. Control VR, this, your glove, and we'll see it momentarily. Was this a separate development? Is this something that you happened to be developing in parallel, and it just so happened that all this stuff was going on at the same time, or were you inspired by these other technologies to jump into this market space as well?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting story the way it happened. Me and Matt have been working for a long time and been interested in technology and technologies that are capable of really making a better world. And so, at the same time that I had met Ollie, I was exploring this space heavily and trying to find the best solutions for motion capture. And so that search had led me to Ollie independently of being introduced to him through a close friend of mine. And so it was sort of this weird serendipitous sort of coincidence that felt like it only furthered sort of the validation for me and the feeling that I felt in my core that this was really something that I was supposed to be a part of, and ultimately where we've gone from the time that we've gotten together to where we are now. Control VR was very much a vision that came out of that first experience, which I think a lot of people will share as very powerful. When you actually see and have the opportunity to feel what it's like to be in a virtual space and see your body in that and be able to interact with things, it's really powerful, and it really sheds a light on what the future of virtual reality is going to look like. And so from the moment I had that experience, it was sort of an immediate, how do we get this to as many people as possible, and how do we make this as affordable as possible?
So, Matt, if I can, and Alex, you did touch on this a little bit. Why is this so important? I mean, why is Control VR and products like Control VR so important to the market space?
Yeah, the VR space right now, I think, really needs applications that can be developed by the developing community itself, and the ability to take really expensive motion capture systems and to offer them for prices that consumers really can't adopt, specifically that developers can afford, and then make these amazing applications. I mean, you're talking about opportunities in healthcare, in sports, like really big industries that can actually be transformed by virtual reality, and just the opportunity to have really high-tech motion capture at an affordable price.
Do you think this is limited to VR? I mean, can this be applied to other markets as well?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Any type of visual display. So it's not just a virtual reality headset display. It's your computer, or it's your Kinect, like it's your console. Like the whole concept of what a console is, we think it goes beyond gaming and entertainment, and it gets into things like physical rehab from your own living room, you know, and that's where it gets really transformative, and that's what I get so excited about too. So
well, let's talk about Control VR. I mean, we've been talking a little bit around the history and so on, but what is it exactly? Can you describe it for us?
Absolutely. So Control VR is bringing to market a product that allows a user to use his hands as an intuitive gesture-based controller. So what that basically means is, for virtual reality purposes, now you can use your hands and your arms as a control system. And when you think about just using the same principles with a PC, you know, it extends itself to many other applications. So when you're talking about robotics, for example, and thinking about how powerful it would be if you could have robotic hands that you could control on a one-to-one real-time basis, you start thinking about, you know, what does that mean for the future of robotics, and being able to go into, you know, disaster areas and open doors and do things that are much more complex than currently you're able to do, right? So yeah, so Control VR is essentially a hardware provider that has multiple applications.
So I think you've got the gloves with you. I mean, this is just one part of a much bigger apparatus. Can you elaborate a little bit as to how the gloves work?
Sure. So basically, we use inertial motion sensor technology for our products. So as opposed to camera-based systems would have a lot of limitations, we believe that a wearable solution is what consumers are ultimately going to adopt. And so essentially, here's one of our gloves, and what we're doing with this is we're embedding tiny little sensors that are the most advanced of their kind. Sure. So we have tiny sensors that are embedded in the fingers of this glove, and all of these sensors are like small versions of the Nike Fuel Band that, you know, are measuring the motion of that particular segment. And then we have the most advanced software on the planet that's capable of developing a language with how you put that all together to communicate and create, you know, detailed body movements in general. And so then you can apply that data to whatever application you want to create.
How many sensors per finger?
Right now there's 7 on one hand. The system that we're selling, to give you an idea, is a 19 sensor upper body system, but there's 7 on the hand, there's 2 on the arm, there's a chest centerpiece, and then there's another 7 and 2. That's a $25,000 system that we're offering for $600 right now. So we're really giving this away to the community because we want to embrace the community so they can really create amazing applications that are going to emerge now.
Something I don't understand. I look at my fingers and I've got at least 2 joints per finger. Does it pick up all the nuances of how the fingers work?
It does, yeah. We've done some nice interpolation data with the sensor and with your fingers, and so we've actually cut down, so we don't have, on the high-end gloves, we have 2 sensors per finger. Now we have 1, but we're able to interpolate how that finger moves, and it's really wonderful for consumer applications, and if people want more additional sensors, we can add those as well, and it's totally customizable, and it's modular. You can add other input devices into there, so we can add haptics in as well. It's really open source, and it's a wonderful base to start from.
Excellent, excellent. And now for your Kickstarter, it's not just a matter of sending out these systems. And by the way, the Kickstarter is still active, so people can still pre-purchase this. What's coming bundled with the Kickstarter? What do people get for their investment?
Sure. So what people are getting is, first of all, the system, whatever system they decide to support, which will be a one-arm or a two-arm system, or if they just want to get the SDK, they can just donate $10 and have the opportunity to see what the SDK is like and what the system would be like too. So you could still develop on it if you don't actually have the hardware. But the full system is going to come with 2 gloves, an upper body apparatus, as well as the SDK, and we're going to include a bunch of applications that allow you to start taking advantage of the product immediately.
Now, I know we've been focusing on the gloves. You do mention there's like the chest piece and the arm pieces. Is it positional tracking that you can actually move your body all over the place and it'll pick everything up? Or, I mean, are there limitations? How does that work?
Yeah, that's correct. So the chest piece right now is housing a main processor unit as well as a sensor that allows your body to be tracked in terms of how that's moving. And also we're going to look to incorporate ultimately hybrid technologies. We think that the ultimate solution is going to include a camera of some sort that's going to only add to the experience and accuracy.
So I'm gonna use the H word with you. You know what the H word is, don't you? I'll tell you what it is. It's haptics. And I was wondering, what are your thoughts on haptics? Do you see this being implemented with your gloves and your devices? I'll pass this over to Matt.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I just said that earlier, but yeah, it's an input device, but that you can plug other input devices into it, and absolutely, it's a wearable technology. So optical-based things. You're not wearing anything, so haptics really need to be worn, and you're already wearing something, and absolutely we want to include haptics in it, and it's open to include those in there. So
let me rephrase the question, because when people hear haptics, they think like vibrating joysticks, and others, when they hear haptics, they think of like resistance, that as you touch things you feel, whether they're hard, they're soft, or you're getting pushed back. I know this is a starting phase for you. How far do you think you could go with this from a haptics point of view?
I mean, we think that we have the platform that is going to be the standard, right? So as far as the different opportunities to incorporate feedback, that's something we're already looking at and already starting to work with. And so as soon as we have what we believe works the best, that's what we're going to release. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to take a little bit longer to develop feedback that gives you resistance rather than just sensation, but the full solution is going to include both, and we're going to pursue both of those.
Just one more question for you. We're at E3 Expo. You're surrounded by game developers, content makers, media. Congratulations that you're in the right place at the right time. What has been the response been? I mean, you obviously got some startup applications, but do you have reason to believe that you're going to be getting a lot more support in the not too distant future?
Absolutely. It's been an overwhelmingly, amazingly positive response from the community. Everyone who comes in and tries this instantly understands what a transformative product we're bringing to market. And so, we're excited. We've made a lot of new friends here, and we expect that, the growth of Control VR is going to continue in a very exponential fashion. And so, really excited to continue getting this out there. We want people to try it and to understand that this is the real deal.
Have you finalized finalized is a strong word, when you plan to release a consumer product, like a fully, not yet?
Yeah, not yet. Right now what we want to do is deliver to the Kickstarter backers as soon as possible, and get them to be creative and start working with the product. The consumer version is something we've already began working on and are constantly working on perfecting that design. And so, as soon as we feel that we have the absolute best that we can do, then we'll get that to market. But we don't expect that it'll be too far in the future that we're able to offer a consumer version of this product.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on MTBS. It's been always glad to try new things. It's very exciting stuff. This is Neil Schneider for MTBS-TV at E3 Expo 2014. Back with more. Thanks for watching.